Hey guys, this episode is brought to you by Sinusoid Pro Audio Couture.
The great American cable company, making cables and smiles. Did I interrupt something you were going to say, Steve?
No, I was actually going to go negative, but I'll stay positive. When you support Sinusoid, you are supporting a small builder and their families.
Oh yeah,
several builders, I guess. I don't know how many.
They have a lot of cool. They have a
them?
lot of cool employees that we've got to hang out with and become friends with. They're all really cool dudes, and I'm really looking forward to hanging out with them again at Winter NAMM coming up here in like a week.
Yeah,
a week or two, something like that.
Yep.
It's always a fun time to hang out with them. I just still can't believe they came out to our 200th episode party. They're just really invested in what we do here on the show. And that's one of the reasons why you guys should invest in Sinusoid cables. They're going to take really good care of you. Their product is fantastic. They chose us as much as we chose them. We were in a situation where we had done a couple sponsorships for them. And then another cable company came to us and was like, hey, can we sponsorship through you? And there was nothing wrong with that cable company. But we liked working with Sinusoid so much. Steve and I were both like, we would really love to keep doing work with Sinusoid.
Yeah.
So we called them up at like the same time they were dialing us, and we were like, oh my gosh, I was just calling you. Let's be podcast boyfriend and girlfriends and go steady. So that's what we've been for a long time now. I just really appreciate the guys over there.
That was really long. This next sponsorship is from Walrus Audio.
Yes, Walrus Audio, they have a new product out today. It's launching today on a Monday, which is perfect for us, which means I have a demo video up for it now. Hopefully, they haven't said that there's anything tricky about loading the videos, but they wanted to have everything drop today, is my understanding.
Yep.
Let's get this thing over here. I want to talk about it.
This is the Walrus Audio Fathom reverb.
Yeah.
There's I guess I would call it the ARP87 format.
It's definitely the same format as the ARP87. Two momentary foot switches here. Saw switches is what I mean. They're not momentary as far as the signal goes. But yeah, you've got decay, dampen, mix, X factor knob, which is really cool. It's just a different function for each different program setting on here. You have got, I forgot the designations of each thing here. But you've got H setting, P setting, L setting, and S setting. I know S is sonar, L is lo-fi, P is, what would P be for reverb? Plate, and H is hall. Okay.
Is that actually what they are?
That's actually what they are. I've remembered now. And then there's a 3-position switch for 3 different levels of modulation. And of course, you've got the second foot switch here that gives you momentary sustain.
Nice.
Which is really nice. It just maxes out the sustain if you need to do
That's really cool.
A big, long, heavy reverb sound for a couple moments in your song, and it just fills out great. Something I got to say about this, and it sounds like a negative, but it's honestly a positive. I really admire that they didn't put a spring setting on here and just have another spring setting that would have to be it doesn't sound like a drippy reverb. I'm really glad that I don't have to say this about this pedal. All the settings it does do sound really great. It's got this really moody, kind of modulated, ambient sort of thing going on. Cool. I really like the lo-fi. I think that's my favorite so far. The sonar setting is an octave setting. So you can blend with the X knob. You can blend from a low octave to a high octave and get some really nice sounds out of it. And also, there's the modulation in there. Walrus has already proven with the Julia and other pedals that they really understand modulation. So this thing just sounds great. It's going to look great next to my ARP87, which has become a staple on my board. It's like a permanent delay on my board. I think this is going to have a nearly permanent place on my board for church playing at least. Hey, Steve.
Hey, Ryan.
How are you doing, man? This is not how we start the show.
It is not.
Let's lean into it, though. What is this show, Steve?
This show is CC Cycle Hum, the guitar buying, selling, trading, modding, fixing, breaking, reviewing, playing podcast.
You did it, except for you slurred podcast at the end. You said plodcast.
I said plod.
This is a plodcast where we talk about plots of land and things around
Plods of land? That's a plot of land.
It's similar to a plot. It's a little bit smaller and a little hilly.
I was
don't know.
thinking a plodcast is a podcast that you listen to while you walk slowly.
Oh, because
around the
plotting
neighborhood.
is like, yeah, okay.
A turtle.
A turtle? Are we going to say any words right tonight?
Nope.
What were we, like a bunch of toddlers in here? I think we ran along last week. I think we're going to run short this week. That's my hope anyways. Fingers are crossed.
Hope to die.
Sorry to bum you guys out, people who like really long episodes, but
All right, Ryan, you got
ready to
anything
get
new?
out of here. I don't have anything new, which is why this is going to be a shorter episode.
We shouldn't do that.
Do you have anything new? Well, I've got this this freaking walrus here. That's new.
Yeah.
I'm always happy when I got a new walrus around. I do actually have to say, not to artificially stretch out the sponsorship from the beginning of the show. I just think Walrus has been kicking ass like the last year or so. They've made so many pedals that like make it onto my board consistently, like the Monument, the ARP 87, even the Contraband. I really like the Contraband and the Iron Horse version too. These are all pedals that legitimately go on my board all the time. So good job, Walrus. I'm really excited to have this new pedal around. That's my new bit here. I've got nothing else.
All right, I got nothing new.
We're just boring. You still need to bring me that Fendler to put a fuse in.
Dang it! Steve's amp journey 2018 involves 1 amp.
What's new is that Bo Branton wants to drink fight you at NAMM.
I'm not sure how that's going to work because I'm pretty sure I'm driving us to NAMM.
Yeah, but we'll have time. You can drink there. Maybe we can do it at an after party or something like that.
It's going to be on Saturday.
So Bruce Kumquat was messaging me, and he's like, "Do you think Steve will be able to drink fight him?" And I'm sorry to say it, Steve, but I think my money's on Bo.
They always talk about how much he drinks, but as I'm not a Patreon supporter of Guitar Nerds, I don't know how much he actually drinks. I just know that he drinks a lot. But I also know that at least generally European beer is much weaker than American beer.
Interesting.
Though I know he does drink a lot of straight liquor.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. I don't really know.
Here's the thing. Like, we've had drunk casts, and I've seen you drink plenty, but I don't think of you as someone who drinks a lot. Like, I've known people who drink an incredible quantity of alcohol and are still present and are still existing in the social situation. You're not one of those people.
Right. Well, it doesn't help me currently that I'm like a solid 30 pounds lighter than I was 6 months ago. And I've been like ramping up my metabolism. I literally took my blood pressure this morning, like in one of the grocery store blood pressure cuffs.
Which are always the most accurate.
I mean, that's what I use consistently.
Sure.
But like, just going off like my old numbers, like my blood pressure's dropped like 20 points on like the higher number and like 10 points on the lower number. So I'm in a much healthier state, which also means like I can't really like handle my alcohol as well as I used to.
Which explains
Maybe.
the couple episodes around the holiday season that we had.
At the same time, like probably like a lot of people, like the amount of alcohol I can drink is highly dependent on how much I eat. Because like at the Christmas party, like I don't even know how much I drank, and then I went home, but I did not drive. But I drank a lot.
You were fine at the Christmas party.
But I drank a lot.
Yeah,
like I was drinking wine in a pint glass.
That's true. You were doing that. I drank a bunch of wine out of a red plastic cup, and I gotta say, I'm a fan of the experience. I feel like maybe it's the glasses I'm not big into when it comes to wine. If it's just in the right cup, then I'm into it. So
NAMM's kind of a tough drinking scenario overall because you don't really know when your next meal is going to happen. I heard
you're spending a lot of energy and you're not drinking a lot of water.
I heard the Gear Slum guys want to set this up for lunch on Saturday.
This drinking thing?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Have it go down at lunch because it sounds like they might be setting up something like they had last year or we had last year around the Stone last year there was a Stone van, but it's kind of that question of like, it sounds like from what I've heard from Bo that he's basically going to wake up and start shooting. Start shooting straight, whatever.
So he might pregame.
Yeah.
I honestly don't think this is even a thing that should happen. I think you should enjoy your day at NAMM instead of being wrecked the whole day.
I haven't even. I mean, granted,
I'm totally looking forward to hanging out with all those guys and sharing drinks and getting rowdy. Yeah. I just don't. I don't want to see Steve passed out in the beanbag pit at NAMM over by the drum area.
I mean, legitimately, like we are 5 days into. At the time of recording, we're 5 days into 2018, and I haven't had a drink in 2018.
Really?
Yeah.
You haven't drank tonight.
I haven't had any reason. I mean, it's only 5 days. I just realized. Oh, I know. NAMM's the 26th. Sorry.
Now that I know you haven't been drinking, I'm feeling thirsty.
Oh, man, crack something open for yourself.
I will.
So, yeah, I don't know if that's going to go down. And, of course, like...
it's so hard to plan anything at NAMM.
And, of course, the real question is it better to just, like... Does it really matter who can drink more? Or does it just matter who's funnier when they're drunk? I don't know. And I'm not even saying that I'm funnier when I'm drunk. I just,
I think I'm going to put my money on both.
You're probably not wrong. I'm just going to take a nap now.
Man. All right, let's get into the episode. Let's tackle this first thing.
This first, we're calling this an ad, I guess. It's
content from our Facebook group.
Ad. It's from Cameron Barami. He wants to. He asked the question: I'm torn between two options. Help! This '90s Hot Rod Deluxe or a Boss Katana 100. This is a USA. It says it's a USA Fender Hot Rod Deluxe, $350. The interesting thing is, it says it's a USA Fender Hot Rod Deluxe, but it's got like the brand new Hot Rod 3 switch on it.
Right.
I don't know if that's actually indicative of anything. I don't know if it's mentioned because it's hard to tell exactly what's going on here. But they're asking $350 cash, local pickup.
That's a normal price for those, right?
Yeah, you can kind of get them a little cheaper here and there.
Really, like $300?
I've seen these as low as $250 when they're like beat up.
How many watts are those things?
40.
That's a gigging amp.
Yeah, I will say like this.
You owned one, right?
I did. This is kind of a hacky copy paste job on the ad because it says it's Hot Rod Deluxe, all tube, 40 watts, utilizes a 12-inch Celestion G12P80 speaker. The Hot Rod Deluxe is blah, 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 whatever. You guys, like, this is one of the most common amps ever.
Yeah.
And then it says preamp tubes just replaced with JJs. And then it says stock Fender speaker, Eminence Legend 125 50 watts. So what is it? Like,
yeah, which speaker is it?
I always thought I want to say that the typical speaker in this is a Eminence speaker, but I think it's like an Eminence, just some OEM like Fender special design speaker. So I don't know if it's actually a Legend 125 or what it's supposed to be. Oh, it does say new foot switch included. Everything functions perfectly. Minor nicks in the Tolex, blah, blah, blah. I know the USA ones are a little more desirable. I don't really remember why. It's been a while.
So what's like the layout of these amps? It's like a clean channel, 3-band EQ, and a drive section and a reverb?
Yeah. So
it's like your basic sort of thing?
Basically.
This isn't a bass ad.
This
Steve.
foot switch, the foot switch has two switches on it. One switch is drive and the other switch is more drive.
Oh, really? There's no reverb option?
The reverb is just always whatever the knob is set to.
Huh.
And
so this is like your teenager special. Like, don't worry, kids. You got two kinds of drive here at your foot.
Yeah. So your amp, your basic setting is clean. So pros of this amp, I always liked the clean channel in this. Always thought the clean channel was great.
Sure.
I know other
you think
people,
it's a good pedal platform?
I thought it was a great pedal platform when I owned one. They are like frustratingly loud. I've heard a lot of people say that. Well, the issue is kind of like the typical
that volume
Fender
jump?
issue is that like at when your knob's at 0.8, the knob goes from 0 to 12 or something like that.
Right.
So when your knob's at like 0.8, it's barely audible. And at 1, it's barely audible. And at 1.5, the paint is peeling off your walls.
Right.
Now, I had an attenuator on mine, and with the attenuator fully cranked, dissipating as much heat as possible, I think I was able to get mine up to like 2.5.
Jeez.
I one time did crank it all the way up, and the other thing to go along with that is that these amps above like 3 or 4 don't really get any louder. They just get dirtier.
Right.
So you don't really have like a full range, and that's on the clean channel, right? I've heard a lot of guys say that if you do the volume knob in the volume knob in the effects loop trick, which is like the JHS. I think it's called the Magic Box, maybe.
Okay.
Or any volume pedal. It's basically, as far as it
gets you some extra
recall,
adjustment.
It's just like an extra pot that you can put in your
Well,
effects loop.
let's get into the spirit of this post. If you had to choose right now for your playing, which would you choose? Let's say you speculate that you might have other things, like say you have a band or you have like a different sort of music project come up in the next 5 years, and you're thinking about that too.
I would lean heavily towards the Katana.
Interesting.
I'd have
because I thought this whole topic was going to be us fighting out which amp.
Well,
but I think I'm going to agree with you.
You know, so like I said, the pros here is it's 40 watts all tube. Well, it's not a tube rectifier, but whatever.
Right.
The issue is that like it's a clean pedal platform, but I'm thinking like big picture. Like I'm thinking weight. I'm thinking about different things. Like I'm thinking like maybe the little volume box trick like really does fix a lot of the problems. I don't know, but for me there are a lot of cons on this amp. The classic negative that you hear for everything Fender really until you get to like the Supersonics. Is that the drive channel's bad. And
sure.
I don't think the drive channel on the Hot Rod Deluxe is necessarily bad.
It's just not that classic sound. Like no one's like, oh, you got to get that Fender distortion sound.
I think the problem is that this amp suffers from shared EQ. So there's one EQ, but you have effectively 2 channels with and a boost,
right,
is what you have. They say some people call it 3 channels. I don't consider the more gain a 3rd channel, but you have clean, and then on your drive section you have a volume control and a master control. So basically you have pre-gain and a master volume,
right?
And the EQ is whatever your EQ is, because it's a shared EQ section. So you kind of have to decide: do you want your clean to sound good, or do you want your drive to sound good? And in my experience, they were mutually exclusive.
Right.
And what I was able to do to work around this is I had a Visual Sound Jekyll and Hyde.
Right.
And I would run the Jekyll side, which is the Tube Screamer side, with the gain all the way down and the volume turned up. Effectively, what that does is it puts a mid boost on your signal. And to me, like that fixed the drive channel, because I felt like the drive channel just felt really scoopy. Even though my mids were cranked, the way that I ran my cleans was with really like cranked mids, because I was playing like Strats or P90s, so I wanted that mid push. On the drive channel, the mids were just gone, so I needed more, which is why I used the Tube Screamer for. So there's just issues here. If you want that Fender name, if that clean channel does something special for you, then maybe you take a lark on it. I don't know if $350 is a good price either. Like I said, it's okay. It's not great.
I think that what it really comes down to is like, are you familiar with that Fender amp, and is that the sound that you want? If you really want that sound, then of course you should get that amp.
Yeah.
But I mean, at that price point, we're not talking about like, oh, should you get like your dream amp that is going to be your main recording amp versus should you just settle for a Katana because you just have the money in your pocket right now? These amps are at the same price point.
Yeah.
And they fill the same kind of like volume level role. And when you consider them that way, I mean, if you're buying an amp for a studio for recording, buy the Fender. because it's just going to be another tool in your toolbox as far as like tube amps go.
But again, the Fender, like, and I mean, I guess if you're in a studio, you probably have ISO set up.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
You know, it might be harder to dial in.
But if you're buying an amp to be a home jamming amp and a weekly gigger, I think the Katana is gonna beat it, even if it's just as a clean platform. I think the Katana is so convenient because it's so lightweight,
right?
And it gives you a lot of options if you want them. Like I use my Katana, it's so simple. Like I just use the clean channel with a couple tricks to make it sound good, which is you turn up the master volume and then you use the front volume to adjust how loud you want to be, and you use the wattage selector.
Right.
If you crank the master, then it saturates like the output transformer or something like that, and it makes it sound really good. So I use it that way, and then adjust the gain for more of like a creamy sound if I'm running pedals into it if I want to. And it's just so convenient at that price point. Like $200, and I think it's the winner here. It bums me out to say that in a way. Like I want people to have tube amps. I want people to buy, investment amps that they're going to have around a long time. And the Katana can be that too, but it's like I feel like buying a big tube amp like that, and it is relatively big. It's not a half stack, but it's not like buying a Princeton where you can stick it in the corner and like not think about it. You buy one of those, it's going to take up a bunch of space and it's going to be heavy and hard to move.
Yeah, I want to say the Hot Rod Deluxe weighs in somewhere around 45, 50 pounds.
Yeah,
the Katana 100, at least I think this is the 1x12 version. Is there? I'm not sure if there's a 2x12 version.
There is.
So the 1x12 version comes in at 32 pounds, 11 ounces.
It's not that different, but it's like I've got the 50, which is even lighter.
10 pounds is pretty significant when you're trying to get up some stairs.
It's like a gallon of milk plus, a head of celery or something like that.
That's like
a gallon is 8 pounds. Yeah. It's like a gallon of milk and 2 pounds of chicken. But anyways, I think at that price point, the convenience factor of the Katana wins out. And if you want a tube amp of that size,
right,
you're going to have to get into territory that's much more of like a dream amp for me to be like, oh, get your dream amp, versus the Katana. Because I just feel like with that model of Fender amp, it's not about like, oh, this is the amp I've always wanted. This is like the amp I can afford and the amp that's around,
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's people who love that amp, but that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's just, a very pedestrian amp, and there's nothing wrong with that. But if you're getting something pedestrian, go for the Katana.
If you're going with the 2x12, it is going to weigh in at a little over 43 pounds, so now you're really in the same ballpark.
And it's something that's so convenient about the Katana. You were talking about the volume jump on the Fender. The Katana is a brilliant home amp. Yeah. Like a bedroom amp, you can get it so quiet and really smoothly dial up the volume until it's right where you need it to be. It's an awesome bedroom amp.
Well, and you also have the power, like you're saying, like you have power control, so you can run it 100 watt, 50 watt, or 0.5 watt.
Yeah, 0.5 watt is like surprising. I have found myself playing with drummers and have left it on the 0.5.
Yeah.
You don't need as much power as you think you do sometimes.
So all of this run around, and it seems like we're both kind of leaning towards the Katana. I do think the Hot Rod series amps are a little more maligned than they deserve to be.
No, I think they're good. I think they're good amps, but I just don't think they're anyone's dream amp for the most part.
Right. But people there. I think the Hot Rod series was one of the first. Maybe not the first, but it's what I think of, at least for my age, like of one of the early working man's amps.
Sure. It was like Fender's competitor against things that were coming out like the Classic 50 and stuff like that.
And I mean, the Hot Rod series and the Blues Deluxe series before it were relatively affordable. And you did see them like early Coldplay, at least in like, this is going off videos, and I've heard people say, oh, those are modded and whatever because whatever reason. But early Coldplay in the videos, you would see Hot Rod amps.
Right.
The Strokes in Strokes videos, I think in Reptilia even was supposed to be like a
even
Hot Rod
Reptilia,
amp.
huh?
The song Reptilia. I believe was supposed to be a
they're
hot rod amp.
They're loud amps with a Fender sound.
Yeah.
And they get the job done. And it's like, if you're already using one and it does the job, then why would you stop using it?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's that sort of thing. That's kind of how I feel about my Classic 50. It's like, it does the job. And why would I get another amp of that size unless I wanted something really super specific, which I don't really.
Yeah, I never had complaints with my Hot Rod Deluxe in terms of the way it sounded. I just sold it because it was ginormous and I wasn't playing a ton of guitar. And it was kind of a mess to dial in church.
If it was a matter of Katana versus any other tube amp, but the criteria is it has to hit bedroom volume and you have to be able to also compete with a drummer.
Right.
Like not a massive drummer, but like a regular garage band sort of situation. Like what is an amp that you would think would be a better versus the Katana sort of situation?
I don't know. I mean, if you have to do both
in that price point too, we'll say sub 350 used is applicable.
Maybe like a Vox AC15. You're still doing heavy, but at least you're a little. You might be a little more bedroom friendly.
Yeah, and technically you lose versatility versus the Katana anytime you go for a tube amp. But then if you want a tube amp, then you want a tube amp.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was thinking maybe like a Blues Junior or something like that.
Right. I mean, the Blues Junior and the AC15 kind of are competitors in that regard.
Maybe even one of those Excelsiors. Like super simple, kind of a clean sound at low volumes, but gets drivey when you crank it.
Right.
I feel like that would be a good, Katana or tube sort of question. Whereas like with the bigger Fender amp there, I keep forgetting the names. Hot Rod DeVille, right?
Yeah, the Hot Rod Deluxe is this one. The DeVille is the 60-watt 2x12 or 4x10 version.
Right. It's the bigger one.
Basically, the Hot Rod, if you were like to think of them, the Hot Rod Deluxe is the Classic 30.
Right.
The Hot Rod DeVille is the Classic 50.
Yeah, I forget the point I was trying to make.
They're completely different, but
I don't know. It's an interesting question, and it's so personal. The answer is so personal. Like, if you know that you need tubes, you need tubes. Like, I wouldn't recommend the Katana if someone's like, I really want to sound like, a tube amp.
Yeah.
Like, you can get good sounds out of the Katana, but if you want that specific thing, get that specific thing.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's jump on to the topic.
Yeah,
even though that felt like a topic.
This topic was sent by Clifton Worley from the Clifton Worley Show.
Do we know if he's going to be at NAMM?
I feel like he
might be sitting this one out.
I don't remember. I think he might be summer only this year, but I really don't remember.
Right.
He says, I'd be interested in thoughts about Cower offering the budget mastery option, which of course is the upcoming, hopefully, Titan KR2. Yeah,
so if you go join the Titan / Cower Guitars discussion group on Facebook, which you should do anyways, Doug has been teasing all sorts of new designs for a new version of the Titan, which he is playing around with, having maybe a prototype at NAMM and maybe putting, it sounds like maybe 10 of them into production in the next 6 months, but we'll see. But he's been given a lot of information there, and I think it looks really cool. It's more of an offset style thing.
Yeah.
And it's going to have a Fender offset style bridge and tremolo on it. And I asked him the other day, is this going to come with a mastery, or is this going to come with like a stock Fender style bridge for an offset on here? Like, that's a big question, especially with my recent acquisition of the Jazzmaster over here with a mastery on it. Is this going to have like the problematic Fender bridge, or is it going to have like a hot rodded modern version of that would drive the price up? Because these are supposed to be like his budget line. So apparently he's been working on a plan for a while now he's going to use a Fender style bridge on it.
Yeah.
But he's going to address some of the issues where he's making, he's having thimbles made for these. The thimbles are the part that the bridge posts slide into.
Right, the bushing.
The bushing. And normally on a Fender offset, the bridge floats in those thimbles. Like it's hollow and it rests on a needle and can rock back and forth.
Right.
And that causes some of the issues. It's also a benefit to people who want certain things out of the bridge. But it causes the bridge to be able to slide back and forth, and you can lose intonation and your action, and it contributes to rattling and other issues. He's developing a bushing or thimble, whatever you want to call it, that will hold that bridge rock solid in the same place. So doing something similar to what the Mastery does without doing all the things it does, but addressing a major issue of that original bridge. I'm just really excited about this guitar in general. Like, what are your thoughts on it?
I'm not like a huge vibrato guy, so from that regard, like I'm kind of like, oh, that's neat, I guess. But I do like the way this thing is turning out. I know when Doug was first kind of putting out the sketches of it, I don't know. I was kind of like a little off on the shape of it all.
I really like the shape.
But I think it's really starting to grow on me. It looks really fast.
Yeah. The thing that it hints at for me is a Yamaha guitar that Link Ray would use, where it's kind of a little sharp on the horns, kind of offset, definitely surfy. And this is like scratching that itch of like a middle ground between something a little bit more pointy and something that definitely leans in like the Fender, like Mustang Jazzmaster sort of direction. So I think it's a really neat looking design, and I'm excited to see one in person if there's one at NAMM. I still really love the Titan KR1 that I have here that I do demos with it.
Yeah, that thing's fantastic.
Like I've been saying it lately. It is the best playing guitar that I have here. Like, it's just flat is. I mean, there's others that are very good, but the Titan is literally the best playing guitar I have. It feels like ringing a bell. Like, that's what I think about. The phrase I think about when I think about the Titan is just like effortless.
Right.
It's just fun and easy to play.
Is that what that's supposed to mean?
Yeah, it's just effortless. Like, anyone can ring a bell,
Can they though?
Yeah, they can. As long as they have use of some appendage that a bell could be attached to, you can ring a bell just by swinging it back and forth, So I'm excited about that. Do you have anything to add to?
I think that's, I feel like we covered that pretty.
I feel like I'm being too
thoroughly.
chatty. I'm like stepping all over you.
No, it's fine.
Let you need to speak your piece.
I don't have a lot on this because
Give me a counterpoint.
Like I said, I haven't thought super hard about this because I'm not a trem guy. So
right.
I do think that the decision to be, because people have been trying to do Bigsby's on the KR1s. I think the decision on the whole to just kind of be like,
have a dedicated trem model.
We're going to be simple. And let's do a dedicated trem model. I think that makes a lot of sense.
And those stock Fender parts are really affordable.
Yeah.
Like, you can get a bridge and tremolo combo, and I'm sure he gets, wholesale prices or whatever.
Right.
But as retail prices, you can get the bridge and the trem for like $60 or something.
Yeah, and it sounds like he'll be able, with these new bushings, to because I guess that's the thing with the Mastery, is that the post on the Mastery bridge is a bigger post, so it doesn't rock. So by adjusting the size of the bushing,
it has its own custom bushings or thimbles or whatever you want to call it.
You have to take out the.
It has a whole system.
Huh.
Yeah, it's like this double screw system. I haven't even adjusted mine yet because I looked at it and was like, nope, I'm not going to deal with that right now.
Right.
It's kind of complicated in there. But then, anytime you get into an offset style guitar with an offset style bridge, you start doing like your own modifications and figuring out what flavor works for you. So it'll be exciting to see what people come up with the KR2. I'm sure people are going to buy them up. There's a lot of people who are fans of these guitars now. So looking forward to checking them out. Do we have anything else to say about it? I think that's it, right?
That's the second time you've asked that question, so I think the answer now is officially no.
I feel like I'm really tired today, and I'm going in circles. So you got to help guide me through the bramble here, Steve.
This next ad was sent by Alan Chappell. This is an Ibanez 420 ES. This is made for speed, strung with nines and action so low a credit card barely clears between the strings and frets. It plays speed solos only with thick picks. If you use thin picks or inquiries will be disregarded. Purchasing party agrees to only use guitar for speed soloing and only to run it through a loud half stack with tons of distortion and a stereo chorus pedal and a delay. Pickups are hotter than anything you own. For consideration, please submit a video of you doing arpeggios faster than a metronome can keep up with over the wing or backing track of your choice. $1,000 firm. Also include pick thickness.
So I wish we had full pictures of the guitar because it looks like there's something really interesting going on here with like this 3D kind of like cutout on the top.
Right, right.
But I just thought the description of this ad was hilarious. Just thick picks only. Please, include videos of you sweep picking and all this sort of stuff. I'm actually trying to sell my Ibanez right now.
Right.
I've got, what is the number, like the 480 or something like that?
I don't know.
I forget.
I don't know.
I forget what it is.
Have.
I've got an Ibanez RG4 something. But
okay. I can't even find this model for what it's worth.
It looks like something kind of custom. Like I've never seen
this. It
this.
says it's a 420 EG, but when I pop that in, like nothing comes back. So I'm wondering if it was like some kind of typo.
But yeah, I'm selling my Ibanez right now just because I bought it over a year ago, I think, and I really have not used it at all. I did the Metal Zone demo with it because I had that Keeley Mammoth modded Metal Zone, and I just don't ever have a reason to bust out a super shreddy guitar with a Floyd Rose on it. And I thought maybe I would get back into it because that was my first electric guitar, is a Floyd Rose shreddy sort of thing. I'm just not interested in playing it. I feel like, is it bad to say that that's like a grown-up thing? I feel like I'm a more grown-up guitar player now, that I don't want to just grip it and rip it.
I mean, it's what it is. The Ibanez RG420EG is a limited run RG series guitar introduced in 2008. So they had like different finishes, all three-dimensional. This one is brick.
Oh, that's dumb.
This one,
I remember the brick ones. I remember seeing those in store.
The one that's like a spider web, I think, is also kind of in this series.
I feel like I like the spider web more than the brick.
I actually am not.
Like if you get a brick textured guitar like that, you really run the risk of a stand-up comedian standing in front of you and doing their bit. Because stand-up comedians always have like a brick wall behind them.
This particular one,
like Louis C.K. is going to walk up to you and he's going to like put his hand on the guitar and start doing his bit, and who knows where that hand's going to end up.
Wow. This particular one actually looks like it could be some kind of refinish, actually, because I'm only finding this. This is called the Bio Armor.
Oh, interesting.
And it's all black, and the one that's in the image is green.
So you think he filled in the low spots with green?
It's possible that it was some kind of refinish.
He doesn't mention that.
And I will also say that I'm only seeing these listed on Reverb at like $1,300.
Well, his price is fair then. He's asking $1,000.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot to me.
Well, there's certain Ibanezes that are like built to that dollar value.
Sure, it just, I think because
the brick thing makes it such a gimmick. It looks like a dumb gimmick, right?
Well, and it's weird because like I'm seeing other ones that are like $300 at Guitar Center. So I don't know if this Reverb listing is just like off the rails.
Yeah.
Or what exactly is going on. Like the Beehive White is $400 on eBay. But another Beehive White is on Reverb at $1,350. So it kind of just makes me think that someone on Reverb is going crazy.
Yeah. I don't know.
Is this I don't know. How thick a pick do you think you need to play this guitar?
The thickest. You need one of those big acrylic ones from Gravity.
That is what I use. Maybe this is a guitar for me.
It's funny that I'm the more shreddy player here in the room, but you use a heavier pick than me. Like I use just what's basically a Fender style heavy pick.
Right. Well, that's what I used to use.
Didn't you used to use those nylon ones, the super bendy ones?
I mean, I've used all the different kinds of picks.
Yeah.
I've used to use
my secret Santa sent me a couple wood picks that I need to do some content with.
I think
which would be super original. I don't think there's any other podcast that's covered wood picks, so I'll just get into that.
Nobody.
Yeah.
None
that I can think of.
The lightest pick that I've used on electric guitar comfortably is like the Dunlop. I think it's whatever the orange one is. And I slowly started to like move up and down around there. But whatever the orange one is like similar thickness to the Fender mediums, but it's stiffer.
Right.
I want to say it's the the 0.60 or the 0.73, somewhere around there.
Anytime I use a pick that's lighter than a Fender medium, I feel like I'm either going to break it or that I'm having to dig in way deeper than I normally would to get the response that I like to get out of the string.
I've used nylons like on acoustic.
Yeah.
Those Dunlop nylon picks, I've used those on acoustic guitars. I've used the really light ones, which again I think are around like 0.6, so they're not super light, but 0.6 in a nylon is very flexible. I've also used the 1 millimeter, which is like a lot stiffer, but still fairly soft sounding.
Yeah.
But I've also used like ultra thin, like stainless steel chrome picks, so it's thin and really like really rigid.
The sound that those, I'm not usually like, oh, this pick sounds bad, but the metal picks have just this like scrapey sound to it. Even when you're trying to not make them scrape, they just have a scrape to them.
Right. But yeah, for the last couple 2-3 years, I've almost exclusively been using gravity picks on all three guitar, bass, electric guitar, acoustic guitar, and bass. I've been using gravities. And I've used the V picks as well. And so in general, a little bit of it is the acrylic pick. I like the way acrylic feels. But then I've also have one pick that is what Satellite Amps is using for their branding. I don't know what the make of it is, but it's a thicker pick. It reminds me of like the Dunlop stubby maybe. I have an old Dunlop bass pick that this reminds me of, but it's polished, so it's like very slick.
I know what you're talking about.
And I really like, I think it's just the acrylic or these like the polished celluloid picks, like they just tend to be really smooth. I think there's something about that. Because even like Fender, like the Fender heavies, I'll use a Fender heavy from time to time, but I can only use like the polished celluloid Fender heavies. And sometimes the tortoiseshell ones are okay, but like the classic celluloids, hate them.
Yeah, I'm not big into the classic celluloids. I like the tortoiseshell ones. I'm fine with like the Dunlop Tortex style thing.
Right.
I've been getting the same gauge from Gear Supply for a while, and that's what's all over my house right now. I just feel like with the acrylic picks that are super heavy, like they don't have any flex to them at all. They're just rock solid. No. But I use Fender heavies, and even though they're heavy, they still have a little bit of like a flick to them. They'll bend a little bit against the string and give me a little bit of an extra flick, which is what I like. It's something to be really particular about is your picks, I guess. Like anytime I borrow a pick from someone and it's not close to what I use, it's like, oh gosh, I'm not gonna deal with this. And now that's why I always keep my brand in my little jean pocket there. I'm never without. All right, let's move on. Oh gosh, this next topic. All right,
I'm gonna
let you take the helm on this one.
I don't know how long we're gonna go on this because it sounds like maybe only I have something to say about it, and it's a long question.
I've always got something to say, but
Andrew Smith says, I'm a relatively new listener, and like with all new podcasts, I find I start at the beginning of the year or the earliest episode I can find. So he says he's about currently halfway through 20 Flip Teen, which means he's only got like 100 or so episodes until he catches up. He says, so you may have talked about this. I don't know if we have, but
we've addressed similar sorts of things.
Basically, what he wants to know is, how do you feel about Christian radio station KLOVE? Do you know anything about it that you can tell your listeners? And is there some sort of corporate thing that keeps some Christian bands off that station? For example, I've heard covers of songs from like big name artists that if you are, I'll just, without naming names, basically there's a thing in the Christian music industry where big name artists will cover songs by lesser known artists, and those are the songs that get the big airplay.
Sure.
And you see it, I think you see it more per capita. It's effectively the equivalent of everybody knows Hendrix's All Along the Watchtower, but nobody cares about Bob Dylan's version, except that Bob Dylan was like also popular.
Right.
So
it's a poor comparison.
It's not the poorest comparison.
No, I see what you're getting at. But it's also like interesting because within like Christian music, like praise and worship, it's definitely a very strong cover culture where people are playing each other's songs and doing different versions of each other's songs.
But it's that thing where, like, as players, that's a thing because it's a cover band life, effectively.
Right.
But you don't necessarily expect to hear that from the radio. So the first thing is KLOVE. Like, I listen to it because it's a really safe choice when I have kids in the car. I don't have to, like, worry about what's going on. I can kind of just tune in and tune out. I listen to it because sometimes I'm just listening for, like, new music to do with with my church job.
Sure.
And occasionally I can do stuff. But at the same time, like, when I hear songs that I actually know, or the album versions of those songs, sometimes it's really aggravating because they will take songs that are like 4 or 5 minutes long, but they're not like a drawn out 4 minutes. And then they cut like all of the instrumental sections out of it to take it down to like 3 minutes. And it's like, really? So that's been kind of frustrating. As far as hearing the cover versions of the songs, I do find that kind of weird. And again, like, it is a thing that happens in pop music as like mainstream pop music as well. But like I said, I think per capita you don't see it as much. And I don't know why that is specifically, but I do think it ties into an idea that I remember hearing for the first time maybe 10 years ago, maybe longer, that KLOVE is effectively like all radio. All radio is trying to, every format is trying to cater to a specific group of people.
Oh, of course.
You know, your top 40 stations, your hot top 40 stations. So they're playing Billboard Hot 100 and whatever.
Right.
They're trying to cater to like the 14 to 25 bracket, basically.
Yeah.
Your alt rock station is probably largely, like, if you looked at their bracket right now, they're probably trying to cater to a 28-year-old dude named Scott. Your adult contemporary stations are trying to attract like more of like women who like graduated high school in 1987 and have kids in the car.
You have really specific ideas about these.
So where I'm going with this is for the Christian radio stations, for KLOVE, and to a lesser extent to Air One, which is like a slightly more rock version of KLOVE, and only slightly. There is one of the forums what used to be on, who worked in the Christian radio industry, said that there is a 36-year-old stereotype of, I should say, is a stereotype that in the industry was like a 36-year-old woman who I think her name was Becky.
Okay.
Or Jennifer or something like that. Some generic white girl name that had 2 kids, effectively like a full-time soccer mom. That is who KLOVE is trying to cater to. So kind of like the purpose that I listen to it for, like, one, it's safe with the kids. Like, that's why this person is tuning into the car. She listens for hours a day because she's taking the kids everywhere.
It's not any different with non-Christian radio.
Right.
Meaning all other radio.
Right.
It's like they have their demographic in mind. They have like their, the local new metal station is trying to reach a dude named Chad who's, he's in his 5th year of college or whatever.
Yeah. So the difference, the real difference is that that target demographic, I think, is a lot less flexible.
Sure.
So right now, the 25-year-old the 25-year-old Chad college student wants to listen to the newest Metallica song, but the newest Metallica song doesn't sound like the Metallica song that the 25-year-old Chad of 1991 wanted to listen to.
Right.
Like, those genres have changed a lot more, whereas I think, like, even though they're newer songs that are coming out on, like, KLOVE, like, it's still kind of following, like, I think there's a less dynamic formula.
I mean, any station's always going to go for the the artist that's more well known.
Right.
And it's the unique situation in praise and worship and Christian music that everyone's doing these covers. So of course you're going to go with the more well-known band that's doing the same song, and maybe it's been tooled to be a little bit better for radio play or something like that.
Yeah, and
it is definitely like a really, things get so weird once you incorporate religion into a business model. Like it just feels weird.
And I think because the pop part of that market is a lot tighter, it's harder to break the big names, so to speak.
Right.
So, I use the example of Metallica, but you think about all of the different bands that have been on like hard rock stations in the last 10 years. Like, you got your Disturbs and your Seethers and your Metallicas and your, 20 years, almost 20 years ago, you got your Creeds and whatever that were all kind of.
Is Disturbed the one that
does
did
the Sound of the Silence?
Yeah. So is that like a parallel where it's like someone who listens to a radio station that plays that song might not even know it's a cover, and then someone who is aware of the cover, they're not going to ask, "Hey, how come this station doesn't play Simon and Garfunkel?"
In a sense,
even though the song is essentially exactly the same. The problem I have with that song is that the version is so close that it's like, why not just listen to the original? Just because he has a little bit more growl in his voice.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little more difference. I think that would be the difference. It would be more like,
I can't believe I used that as a reference. I know. Gross now.
There's a Aerosmith. You remember that song "Don't Want to Miss a Thing"?
Right.
From Armageddon, right?
Right.
Everyone knows that song.
Yeah. Everyone our age,
within a couple years of that song coming out, a country version came out.
Oh, I bet.
And was also a big hit on country stations. But the country stations don't play Aerosmith. And if you exclusively listen to country music and you never watch the movie Armageddon, you wouldn't know that was an Aerosmith song. And vice versa, the stations that played the Aerosmith version of that song weren't ever going to play the country version of that song. So I think it's more like that where well, even there, at least there's a genre shift.
Yeah.
Like
the problem with KLOVE is that it's the same genre.
Yeah, it's literally like an artist doing almost the same version.
Potential audience. It's just a matter of one artist is more famous than the other. I have one semi-related story to this. Like, you remember the band that did that song Kryptonite? What was the band? But anyways, that song used to get played here when it came out on, like the local alt rock stations or whatever.
Kryptonite. Mm-hmm.
And I was driving around with a friend and listening to his radio stations, and he had on a hip hop station. Right. And they started playing the same song. Mm-hmm. But the funny part was when it got to where the guitar solo was, it just was completely cut out.
Interesting.
Like they completely cut out the extra guitar content and just turned it into a pop song.
Right.
For this hip hop station. And so it was like, someone who heard it all the time on that station would never know that there was missing content. And I almost wonder if there are multiple versions that I never heard that were made for other formats,
There are, they're not even making different versions. Like the artist isn't. Right. Somebody in a studio is chopping it up. There are 2 different songs from the last decade or so that feature Kanye West. As like a featured artist, like who basically does like a rap bridge or something. That when they play those songs on like the adult contemporary stations, all the Kanye West parts are out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They just cut the rap part out?
Yep. There's either a replaced bridge or there's no bridge.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's really
to me
it's really disheartening.
That feels racist.
It kind of does.
Because it's like, you got to get some people can't handle, someone having like a black person rapping in this song. Or if it was Eminem on that same station, do you think they would cut it? Like if it was Eminem featured on that song?
Actually, I think there is one Eminem song that does get played on the same stations. But
where like cutting the guitar solo out of Kryptonite that's in no way ever feels racist.
Right.
It's just like, oh,
Well,
some
and-
people
and in
some
the
people
case-
don't want to hear an instrumental part.
And I guess the Eminem song is different because if you cut his part out of the song, you'd be cutting out like half the song because it's more of a duet. I think it's actually might be. I'm not sure if it's his song, but I know he has a much more like he has verses in it. He's not just doing a bridge.
Sure.
But it does feel a little gross. At least to me.
It feels like they think their demographic can't handle hearing rap.
So, Andrew, I hope you hear this episode in 2 years and you remember asking this question. That was a little
He's
insight.
never going to make it.
That was a little insight into that, I guess.
I don't know. I feel like we've hit the stage of the night where
we're all radio.
We're just rambling and none of this is going to be coherent or interesting. But then people are going to be like, wow, really good episode. I think your best episode in months. And I'm going to be like, really?
That's kind of how it seems like it happens. All right, this last ad was sent by Ryan Bales. He left a comment, I wonder if these would work as one of those guitar triller things. This is in the Marion County buy-sell trade. Raccoon, penile, ivory. I have 7, $3 a piece or $20 for all of them.
So some animals have a literal bone in their boner. I think walruses have them. And obviously raccoons have them. They have an actual bone in their penis. And apparently this guy collects them. Which is that normal? Did people collect raccoon boners?
I don't know anything about Marion County. This is Marion,
Is that the
Ohio,
raccoon boner capital of America? Oh man.
Well, so the first one, the guy gives you like a size the picture, he wants to give you a size comparison. So
Which I don't think is fair to the raccoons.
Got a Bic lighter next to it, and it's a Playboy Bic logo Bic lighter.
Do you think, I mean, as far as the scale of raccoons go, do you think these are big penis bones? You think these are something to write home about? Or is this, I mean, he's got them arranged like smallest to largest, which I also think is kind of humiliating.
I wanted to know if you thought this would be functional as a guitar triller.
Oh, 100%. You could definitely trill with these. It'd probably be way more interesting than trilling with the actual triller.
Yeah, it'd probably give you better tone because it's bone.
Yeah, get that bone tone.
Yeah,
there's the title of the episode right there.
You got a bone nut. You got a bone bridge.
Bone down.
And then you got a bone triller.
Yeah, he's got to move this ad to the guitar section for sure.
I don't know, man. I don't really.
I
got nothing.
If I was going to go down this road, I'd probably want to track down penile bones from bigger animals and just get them a little bigger. I think they look a little bit too small to have the mass to trill really well. Like this is more
really
like
going to come down to that density.
Yeah, you need a little bit more weight in your penis bone if you're going to trill with it. If like an animal, like maybe like a pig, like if there was a big pig that had a penis bone that was bigger, that would have the mass. I feel like a walrus penis bone would be way too big. But something kind of in between there, like where it's kind of like the size of like a pork rib. You know what I mean? Just get a little bit bigger, and you're going to have the mass behind it to really get your bounces off the string and really move that string with your penis bone, with your dick bone is what I'm talking about. Is this sort of thing where like if you were in the position where you could become like a famous musician and you used one of these, it would be the stuff of legend. It'd be like
sure. This is Brian May using a Pence.
Yeah, in that one song when he plays that solo where it just sounds really crazy, he's using a raccoon's penis bone. Did you know raccoons have bones in their penis? It's true. And he uses it to play guitar. You got to have that raccoon boner tone if you want to nail that guitar part. Can we buy this and send it to John Mayer and he can start using them? Like, this is the next thing, dude. Get him so popular soon. The raccoon population in America is going to be decimated.
I mean,
everyone's
you can jump
going to be
onto the Marion County buy-sell trade and see if they're still available. $20 for all of them.
I don't think you can harvest these without killing a raccoon, right?
Probably not.
And what if you catch a lady raccoon and you don't know it, and you're like, dang it, this one doesn't have the tone boner, and I need that tone boner bone. This has been our best ad in a long time, Steve. Don't waste this. This is our golden moment.
I feel like you've hit like all of the puns here.
Hit me with another penis pun, Steve.
I mean, here's the thing. Okay, so you had a Triller, right?
Yeah.
And we know what the learning curve is on that. What I
These
want to
definitely
know,
have a bigger curve.
what I want to know is how hard would it be to learn with this? Do you think
There's a pretty stiff learning curve, Steve.
Yeah.
It's definitely, you have to spend a lot of time hands-on with these.
But hey, whenever you need to put it away, you can just stick it in there.
Yeah, just slide it in your pocket.
All right, I think I'm all out.
I don't think we have anything better to say.
Speaking of wild animals,
raccoon phalluses.
Are you done? Remember when you told me this was going to be a shorter episode?
I know. I wish it was shorter.
And then it was a longer episode.
Oh, gosh.
All right. I guess we're going to thank our sponsors now.
Yeah. Thanks for enduring all this penis talk about raccoon penises. Big thanks to Sinusoid. When it comes to raccoon penises, they have nothing to do with them. Instead of raccoon penises, they deal with really exceptional guitar cables and other kinds of cables. You could get like an IC cable made for your pedal board or your amp or whatever with really attractive tech flex on it. They're big supporters of our show. They're really great guys that we love hanging out with and interacting with on a regular basis. And if you are looking for a cable company to be your go-to guys, I think you should go with Sinusoid because they support this show and we support them because we really believe in what they do and they believe in what we do. And if you can't trust us, why are you even listening to us? It's probably because you like to hear jokes about raccoon boners.
All right. Big thanks to Walrus Audio as well. Go check out our demo for the new Fathom reverb on our YouTube channel. There will be a link in the description. Like Sinusoid, Walrus Audio is been a big support of the show.
Yeah,
they've been
we've
really
done
great
what,
for us. 4, 5, 6 pedal demos for them over time.
Yeah, and like I was saying,
more.
like the last year or so of pedals that I've gotten from them, I feel like every single one of them was a winner. Not that the older ones weren't, but it's like everything they come out with just connects with me somehow. It's like they're making pedals just for me.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan of this one. I think it's going to find a permanent home in my my church rig. Just because it's got that really nice, lush, ambient sound and that momentary switch that get full time on it. What would be like the full delay mix on it, full reverb mix. Man, it's been a long day. I cannot talk right or say the right words. It's a reverb pedal. It sounds great. Go watch the demo. All right, Steve, what song are we going to play now?
This song was sent to us by Lucas Ryvers. He says, here's a new song my band is just putting out. At least when he sent this back in October. It was released on October 14th, 2017. The band's name is Young Babylon. They're based in Nanaimo, British Columbia, Canada, and mostly do pop indie stuff. He says, for the song, I'm simply playing a Mexican Strat into a cranked Vox AC15 C2 with just a slight Boss CE2 adding some sparkle in the chorus. This song is called Put My Heart Out. It's by Young Babylon. Go check it out. The song is on Spotify.
So are we.
We are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Later, guys.
Oh, send us songs.
Yeah, send us more songs. We're running out. I mean, we're always running out. Just send them to us.
Bye.
Later.